Hey, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. And I am going to wait for this to come up here and then I'm going to do that. All right. So I was going to actually start doing this a little bit different, but changed my mind. I'm just going to go back to the way I was doing it. I'm seeing, keep thinking that's lint and it's actually holes in the crazy sweater. But anyway, I am going to go back to September 25th, 2025, which is 8:30 in the evening. And I was watching, and today's the 27th. This feels like I vaguely recall doing something like this, but I was watching a little video about the mycelial network. A lot of people are talking about mushrooms again. So yeah, there's some good, the bad, and the ugly about everything, right? But this was about science affirming the fungi network, the forests, all the trees communicating through the fungus and the other elements in the earth, in the dirt. And they're hypothesizing about, you see a lot of the other videos where we have these ginormous, these megalithic, they look like plateaus, from our ant perspective. And they're really hypothesizing that they're trees that were cut down, right? And because they look like tree stumps. And there are a lot of websites out there that will talk about this hypothesis. But there was this thing about the forests as a whole. So like for the Amazon forest, that would be a living organism. So the trees obviously are going to connect to each other, that they're close enough together through the root systems, but it was also that the earth itself was communicating deeper and across this for the whole forest. And this guy was talking about how there are ancient writings that support a lot of these connections, and now today's science is corroborating this. So this is really, it is considered the forest or forests even together is that they're considering them as an intelligent organism, forest itself, not just the tree, not just the shroom or any of the other plants. All of the plants are included in this. So the other thing was that a lot of times they'll say that the mycelial networks are not primitive, but they're very complex. And they are perceptive and protective, ultimately meaning that these are orchestrated and designed not only for survival, but for perpetuating themselves and their support structures around them. Kind of sounds like what some of us are trying to do because, plants don't always get along either, right? So I guess what this is kind of going, what humans and don't get distracted with this whole idea of calling humans humans, right? So humans, they're saying the Black's Law book describes a human as a monster. It doesn't. It alludes that if you are deformed as a human structure, you are considered a monster. And I think that that definition is very, very old and outdated. I believe it was talking about even people that had, uh, some sort of genetic anomaly, what they would consider an anomaly, like Down syndrome or something that was different. Even dwarfism, I think that they were kind of collapsing that into anything that was different. Anyway, so look up that whole, but I'm going to say humans because this whole collective idea about being like a hive mind, right? And the hive mind, we sometimes will consider that something negative, but it's not necessarily accurate. We might be able to be a collective with a positive perspective of survival with the idea of a mycelial network. They're calling it a world, what do they call it? A wood wide web. Well, we're a little bit different than that, but they're also saying that these forests, say the Amazonian forest, is aware of what's going on in the Black Forest in Germany, right? So it's all connected through this network. So it almost has its own, what would you call it? It's like a quantum communication system. And it's all put together to survive and blossom the expansion. And then we're kind of like this new version of an organic humanity, if we can keep it that way. And then this popped up yesterday. It was late in the evening, but I have to do more research. For some reason, your telomeres, everybody says they're capped, and the longer the telomere is, the obviously our longevity. It's related to our longevity. So if anybody can kind of look into that, I am certainly going to look into more about that. It says go deeper into creative positive visuals and feel and embody what we see. Not in this 3D realm, but envision and embody what we see. There's a lot of stuff with AI that I think that people are believing that they'll see something that's a blend. This is really being pushed too about this organic and non-organic, which is really interesting because I think the whole psilocybin thing, the mushroom thing, the psilocybins are really going to come into fruition where they are using them clinically to treat depression. You obviously have to go through a doctor, but it's not to get high. It's to actually clinically help you clear depression. They've been doing that with electroshock therapy for a long time. People didn't realize that, but your insurance will typically pay for that. Dog's kind of antsy today, so that's kind of different. I'm not sure what's up with that. But as far as this whole thing with how are we going to stay connected, because, if I'm very transparent right now, I've been feeling really like cut off and not having people communicate like they have been. So there's been a lot of depression. There's been some really heavy stuff coming in. People even in like staff meetings have cracked. Uh, People are under a lot of pressure when you work in mental health. So, yep, it's stressful out there. So I'm gonna have to get the dog to move. She laid down right where I'm gonna have to go. But yes, sweetie, you're gonna have to move, baby. Come on over here. There you go. Little thump on her crump. She's a good dog. All right, so I'm gonna switch my camera over. Oop, push the wrong button. No, baby, she's pushing my hand. No, go on. She's pushing my arm, so I can't get to the right thing. That's a crazy dog, man. All right. So I'm gonna try and move the microphone over. Hopefully that's been good for y'all. I kind of played with it. I kind of played with it the other day, but I'm really interested in seeing what goes on with I'm gonna try because the computer's in the way. So yep, I will try to make that happen. All right, I'm gonna use my phone to get me to see if I can get on here. I should be able to get onto my own channel, right? But it's just taking me to there, so that's not helpful. Let's see if it'll do it. I don't think it will. All right, so I'm just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so I'm not necessarily gonna be able to see any of the chat stuff. And I'm very raspy again today. I think it's because I've been so quiet. I didn't say a word in the staff meeting, and it was extremely stressful this week or this month. All right, so let's get started. I'm really curious as to what we're going to be coming up with. I don't put this on a timeline at all. I just say that this one feels like it's gonna be whatever is gonna be most relevant for when you are gonna find this. If you feel it's relevant for someone that you know. Yeah, there's like major transformation coming on right now. We're shedding the old skin. And sometimes that's not always the most comfortable position to kind of be in, right? And it's it's not really like a contortion per se, but it's like you gotta really get into unusual, sometimes uncomfortable positions. We got to be on the move. We're looking forward to taking action, and it's gonna really important for us to embody the King of Pentacles groundedness. Digging deep. It feels like we're going to be digging deep. Feels like things have been really, really pressured. We're always grateful for the information here as well. I clear the board. I clear the cards well in advance. We're also having to ask for more. It's not even really that we're supposed to be asking for protection, it's we are having to realize that we are, and not making the assumptions that we are not. I think that that's when we start feeling vulnerable, if we feel like we're not protected. Communicating. When I say people have not been communicating with us, people haven't been talking to us. We haven't been really connecting to our higher self either. This feels like we are in training. We are in training. And sometimes yeah. So it's getting in touch with ourself, getting in touch with this communication is within ourselves with all these options that we've got. Wow, and the Eight of Cups, it's going to help us move on. Too much in our head. Way too much in our heads. Boy, I've been guilty of that. Don't know if it's just me personally, but even within the last 24 hours, it's been really heavy. Wow. A lot of sevens here, eights and sevens. So eight of wands, Eight of Cups. Now here's the Seven of Cups. So this is about strategizing as well. So this kind of looks like a strategy. All I'm getting out of it is the Ace of Fire. So it's taking a different perspective. And not only just taking that different perspective, it's taking action on that different perspective. Something has to be renewed. It's not that we're moving on from something, but we have to take a different perspective. And I think that maybe with that different perspective, we might be gaining that as we strip off the old. Oh my goodness. Something my mother used to say is getting rid of the old man. Ooh, yikes. This is really, man, attacked. So sometimes the Seven of Cups can be illusory. this is too much in our heads, and we might have this thing about where we might feel like we're being attacked. And really it's that we're too much in our head and we're setting ourselves up. It's almost like our ego attacking. Yeah, balance. Oh my gosh, balance. Temperance, balance. Things are going to feel a little wonky. I know I feel a little wonky myself sometimes, but yeah, that attacked card is something else, man. Because it's like really aggressive and it's hard to ignore, even if it is us, and being too much in our heads, ruminating, you know, been there, done that, break the cycle. And it's not, oh God. The thing though, too, it just occurs is that with this temperance, it is a call for balance, but that may be balance. It might feel wonky, but it might be a balance. And if you understand how metal is tempered and glass is tempered, it's the heating and cooling very, very controlled, and it makes it stronger. But when you overdo it, it will be brittle. Yeah, and let's try not to lose our way. That feels like that's what we're being called to, making a choice. Yeah. But it's not just making the choice, it's taking that time. So it's not like we're right here, we're at the beginning of this. We have to make an informed decision, right? It's like the difference between giving consent and having being informed about being able to give that consent. It's not an informed consent. We have to make sure that we know what we're stepping on and what we're stepping into. I know this is really quick today. Things have been kind of weird. Magic. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move toward possibilities and expressions that are as grand and profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. Belief. It should have a word before that. It should say consistent belief. We need to have a consistent belief. Most importantly, it's going to be a consistent belief in ourselves. And the frequency of dynamic supports our ability to harmonize between layers and aspects of different origin and frequency. It helps us to put together a reality that is made up of many different elements, both familiar and completely new. So that even embodies this, because we are familiar with our old skin and our old way, and this is something new and fresh, right? And with ease, grace, and great joy. I think that was it. This is probably one of the quickest ones I've done so far. Please do like, share, and subscribe, especially if it's somebody who you feel might benefit from this reading. And I do hope to see everybody on the flip side.